In the previous episode, 5 dark things Africans need to know about China. The perception that Africans are animals, the exploitation of African workers. There is nothing bilateral about African-Chinese relationship. Have you ever asked yourself why they never learn your local languages? Rather, you're forced to learn Mandarin, even in your own country. So let's go back to my previous conversation. I was talking about 5 things Africans need to know about China. Number 4 is that the Chinese Communist Party don't do religion. They see any form of religion as a threat. Christian, Muslims, whatever you practice is a threat to the Chinese Communist Party. Right now, even as COVID-19, lockdown is ongoing, they are bringing down churches. They are closing down churches, they are bombing churches, they are literally removing crosses from churches. Previously, the Chinese Communist Party actually said that they wanted to remove the sign of Jesus Christ from the Christian cross. They wanted it taken off. Instead, replace it with the Chinese CCP on the cross. So people look to the Chinese CCP and not to Jesus Christ. They don't like religion. But guess what? They are actually soft on Christians when compared to Muslims. Muslims in China, because just a few Chinese Muslims have engaged in, bomb blast and a few terrorist activity, they clamp down on literally all the Muslim sects in China. So that means as a Muslim family, you'll be torn apart. A father will be torn away from his family and put in a concentration camp. Parents, children, families are torn apart. So they will take your children away and the government will take over your children and brainwash them. While you will go to a concentration camp as a Muslim where you will be tortured, force-fed pork, shaved, and asked to desecrate or tear pages of the Holy Quran.
China doesn't want you to know the secret behind these walls. Men, women, children, sometimes entire families separated from each other, cut off from the outside world. The U.S. State Department says they live in prison-like conditions, locked up not for what they did, but who they are, members of Muslim minority groups from Xinjiang province in China's far west.
Now I would like to tell you about what I experienced in these camps. I was taken to a cell, which was built underground with no windows. There were cameras on all 4 sides so the officials could see every corner of the room.
So they put Muslims in concentration camps and sometimes they are tortured to death in those camps. So that's the plight of religion. They don't like religion. Another religious group that have had it really tough in China is the Falun Gong. Is it Falun Gong? They are a Buddhist religion, they practice like meditation, like those kind of Buddhist type religion. Chinese CCP declared them a terrorist organization, a cult, and banned them and killed many of their leaders, persecuted them.
A sobbing wife mourns her husband's final moments after he was left in a vegetative state and shackled to his hospital bed following his alleged torture in a Chinese labor camp. He's one of thousands imprisoned for their beliefs. Some left emaciated, others with rotted and blistering skin, allegedly tortured and beaten. Now, Fox 11 is being taken inside those Chinese labor camps with undercover footage never seen before, revealing what life is like for political prisoners, filmed by those willing to risk everything. If the government knew I filmed those videos, I wouldn't be here with you. My life would be gone. And one distraught California family is fighting back.
But the thing is, the world is so silent. Even though mainstream media is beginning to talk about Chinese abuse of religion or religious intolerance, but what is so shocking is that I feel like the world is afraid of China. China's crimes against religious minorities, against Muslims especially, and the Falun Gong sect is almost Hitler-like. You torture them, you put them in camps, you shave them, you force feed them. The world is not crying enough. In fact, I don't think China only has Africa in their fans. They also have the whole world, because the world is not saying enough. The outrage for what China has done to Muslims is not enough.
Before today, many of you may have heard of the organ transplant abuse in China, including reports that large number of Falun Gong practitioners, Uyghurs, Tibetans, house Christians have been killed so their organ could supply a lucrative trade in human body parts. In the United States, the average wait time for a liver transplant is 321 days, just under a year. But in China, numerous hospitals have been aggressively recruiting transplant tourists, promising that with a few tens of thousands of dollars, they can get lungs, kidneys, livers, hearts, pancreas, corneas within a couple of weeks. What's more incriminating, over a quarter of all liver transplant performed in China are emergency transplant, which means that the transplant is happening within 24 hours of the patient's acute liver failure. Liver is a good example to study because in order to have a full liver transplantation, someone has to die.
The fifth and final point will blow your mind. China is harvesting organs of religious minorities, especially the Falun Gong, the religious minority that practice Buddhism. Because of their healthy lifestyle, they have very healthy livers and very healthy kidneys and healthy body parts. China has been accused of harvesting their organs alive and giving it to donors. That means China keeps them alive while they harvest all their organs. These are people who committed no crime, mind you. The only crime they committed was practicing a peaceful Buddhist religion. Now, China put them in concentration camps, arrest them, and match them up to donors. And when the time is right, China will kill them alive and then harvest all their organs and give them to donors, across the world. Another set of reports states that Chinese Muslims have their organs harvested for recipients in Saudi Arabia who want halal organs. Halal organs means organs by fellow Muslim, maybe halal, people who probably don't eat pork and all of that. So this video here gives us details of how China carries out its organ harvesting from Muslims and religious minorities like Falun Gong in China.
Well, they put people who are about to be sacrificed for their organs on an ECMO machine. And once they put them on the ECMO machine, guess what? They can take the heart out, and the other organs continue to be perfused with blood. They keep the people alive while they harvest all of the organs. And in the old days, 20 years ago, you might be able to get a kidney, but then the rest of the organs would be useless because more than 5 minutes had elapsed, and without 5 minutes without blood, the cells start dying. Or you could get a heart, but you couldn't harvest the liver and the lungs. Now, with this extracorporeal membranous oxygenation, this heart-lung machine, you can harvest all of the organs. And the worst part of it is this: they can actually put a balloon catheter in the carotid arteries going to your brain and block the blood flow to your brain while they keep the blood flowing to your organs. So they kill the brain at the same time that they keep blood flowing to the organs and can harvest them one by one. So they're able to make not just $150,000 off a single killing, they can make $750,000 off a killing because they're harvesting both kidneys, both lungs, the heart, the liver. Yeah.
It's hard to fathom and right.
And it
hard,
happens,
hard to
and it's
conceive.
happening every day in China.
So in conclusion, guys, I'm not saying that Africa shouldn't do business with China, but what I'm saying is that beware of the dragon fire. It will burn. We need to dine with a very long spoon. African leaders have been burnt several times by China, but I don't know whether there is some black magic over their eyes that's making them not to see clearly. African Union was bogged for 5 solid years using Chinese Huawei technology. So African Union was bugged. But again, African leaders have come back and the African Union is using the Huawei technology again in their premises in the African Union. Is something wrong with you guys? Anyway, I've said my piece here. If you like stories like this, subscribe to my channel and give this story a big thumbs up. I think I kind of like researching. I am big on research because I am so curious. And when I do research, I also like to share my feedback. I like to share. So if you like stories like this, join the family, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you again because I put out new videos every week. And sometimes recipes because I also like to cook. So join the family and I'll see you again next week. Bye.